Hey everybody, welcome back to the farm. This is Lisa, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about $50 February 2023. And I've really failed at getting videos out for this challenge, and I apologize. February's been a bit of a tough month with the cold, and I've had enough of it, quite honestly. First of all, there's two of us in the house. And I don't think that I fully explained to Ryan the challenge. In fact, I think I just let this challenge take on a life of its own, and I didn't even really involve him because I do a lot of the social media stuff. And so for us, $50 February 2023, we didn't do it as strict as, say, Annette and Glenn did, and Rich and Holly. And for us, we know that we are lacking in dairy. We're lacking in grains. We're going to be lacking in other stuff. Really, meat production is what we excel in. And so I guess what I want to explain a little bit about is how we look at things. And so when we started this journey to self-sufficiency, we know that we're not going to be 100% self-sufficient. We understand that. Our goal when we started this farm was to make sure that we had a food supply of our own. And mainly that was for survival. And why was survival important? Survival was important because food shortages were becoming an issue. So our whole vision was to make sure that we had a supply of food for us. We knew it wasn't going to be a complete diet. We looked at it from a survival standpoint. And so from a survival standpoint, we have all we need because we're not going to worry about having fully balanced meals when we just need to eat. So if things went terribly wrong, we have something to eat here, and we have learned skills to be able to do that. And so for $50 February 2023, while we did put away a considerable amount of items, we also used our pantry. And so I stock up our pantry with a very long, extensive list of items. And I'm not going to say how much food we have or anything like that, but the reality of it is we have a sufficient food supply here. Some of the items that I purchased in our pantry that we use this month were purchased so long ago that I don't even know what they cost. So I couldn't even tell you. I'd have to go by today's costs, and that's really not fair. And it's not adequate because prices have gone up significantly. So I'm also not good at tracking things. It is not something that I've been good at in my personal life. At work, I've always had to do it, but in my personal life, I'm not good at it. Ask Ryan, he'll tell you. So I'm going to say we went over, but I still feel that we are very frugal, as we usually are, with the challenge. So let me tell you some of the things that we did. So I don't have numbers for you. I don't. But what I will say is we've talked about grocery prices before on our live streams, and judging by a lot of people, we eat pretty frugally. So we ate the majority of our own meat that we raised, and that would be pheasants and chickens, meat chickens that we raised. We also used our own eggs. We used our turkeys that we raised. So we had all of that. We also went ice fishing. We had some fish for supper. We had some items that I had dehydrated and we were able to use to cook with, such as lemons and herbs. I also had some freeze-dried items that I had in the pantry. One of the things that we know is that we will always have a struggle with produce, growing produce. And so one of the things going forward would be to take advantage of items that we are able to buy from our bulk. And it's not what we grow, but it's what we have to do. And we know that. We don't have acreage where we get tons of sun. And so that's a struggle too. Some of the other things that we used were our freeze-dried potatoes from our garden, also some veggies from our garden that I had freeze-dried, some zucchini bread that I had made from our garden, some sourdough bread, onion powder that I made from our small onion harvest. We also used some local beef, and I think that also goes back to the pantry items because we usually purchase a half cow every year to have on hand. We also are trying to use up the previous cow, the beef from the cow. And so we did use that. So that price is much different than this year. We also used up the last of our ham steaks, and it was such a sad day because those ham steaks were so good. We had bacon. So again, in the meat department, no problem. We could have even gone without the beef, but again, I was trying to use it up. So, I mean, I'm not going to get a dairy cow. I'm not going to get a dairy goat, even though I've looked into it. I think that we knew all this going into the challenge. We knew that. Again, I think it goes back to our philosophy, which has always been to try and grow what we can, but also to have food for survival. I mean, if you look at, this challenge on a whole, and I talked about this on Rich's live, the first live that he had, the reality of it is to be 100% self-sustainable, you have to also be able to sustain feeding your animals. And that's not something we can do right now either. So I think the challenge was really good in that we were able to look at all of the things we've been looking at for the past 3 years, and we know the extent of it. And I think for us, it's just the reality. The other part of it, though, I think is, looking into other ways to increase it is something we're doing all the time. I think the other hard part is we have been going since May of 2020. And that was before we even started YouTube. And this year we have decided is going to be less of a goal-oriented year for us. Don't get me wrong, we have some plans that we want to do, some things we want to accomplish, but we have not set forth real strict goals. And what I mean by that is last year we had said we wanted to breed our turkeys, we wanted to breed the pigs, we wanted to do this, we wanted to do that. And we've done that every year. And I think this year we are just at a point where we want to kind of go with the flow because we've not had that static moment. It's always been go, 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 expand, expand, expand. So, this year we have our eyes on a greenhouse and a barn. Whether that'll happen, I don't know yet. But if it does, that's going to take up a considerable amount of time and we're not going to have a lot of focus on other things. Some of the things that I refuse to go without is half and half for my coffee. Not happening. In a survival situation, obviously I would. The other challenge for us is Ryan is a 3 things on his plate kind of guy. And, he is all about not so much sweets, but like he's got to have food. And so he is all about meat, potato, and a vegetable. Whereas me, I could easily eat a fried egg sandwich for dinner. So I think that's some of the other challenges too. I think if I did this challenge by myself, it would be super easy. But he's very particular about what's on his plate. So guys, that's all I have. So I'm just being me, being real. So I think it was a great challenge. I really want to thank the Old Sweets Farm, Rich and Holly, and the Cow Emporium, Glenn and Annette, for including us in this challenge. I'm sorry if I let you guys down, but it's been a month, y'all. So I wanted to make sure that we got this out and gave you guys an idea of where we stood. So thanks for watching, everybody. We are looking forward to next year's challenge, and hopefully we can take it a little bit more seriously. But have a great day, everybody.